Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly special. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing that. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Things First, talking about, are the Chiefs being disrespected versus the Ravens? I don't get this question, honestly, or this whole idea that the Chiefs or Patrick Mahomes is being disrespected. The Ravens are clearly the better team this season, okay? It's just undeniable. So I don't really get why we think that just because Patrick Mahomes is there that we're just supposed to automatically make him the favor or have the Ravens less favored. I mean, it's just absurd, and I really don't get the argument. Again, just because you were so successful last year or the year before, that just doesn't mean anything to me, because this is a different team with different players, different ages, and Patrick Mahomes. Because again, under that logic, then why don't we just give Patrick Mahomes the MVP every single year? Because we know how important he is and look what he's done in the past. So it doesn't really make sense to me. I don't get why there's so much, pushback or controversy with regards to this point.
Flip side of that, Greg, is that Mahomes has only lost one playoff game outside of the Super Bowl. Do you think he's being disrespected with people?
No, Patrick Mahomes is not being disrespected. That's the problem. See, what we do with Patrick Mahomes is we know how great he is. We know he's a well-respected individual, but we somehow want to throw this question of, is he being disrespected because we think there's a better team than what he's on? Clearly, the Baltimore Ravens have been the better team all season long. They have progressively gotten better. When you look at where they are in their season, what holes do they have? I'm not saying that they can't be beaten by this Patrick Mahomes team, but to sit here and act like we're disrespecting Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs because the Baltimore Ravens have been and are the better team even right now currently, like this offense, tell me where their weakness is. Lamar drops back, he throws, he dies, he runs. This is the best running team in all of football defensively. If you want to go there, this is like that's their strength. Like, do they have a weakness? And when you look at the struggles that Patrick Mahomes and his Chiefs team has had, it's fair to say that this Ravens team collectively this year, without going into the archives of last year and the year before, it's better than Patrick Mahomes' team this year, right now, constructed, without grabbing his resume and pulling it forward.
So, listen, you make a great point. It's you know what, Wilds? Let me ask you a question.
I completely agree with that
Would
statement.
it have been disrespectful to LeBron to say that the Hawks, when they won 60 games, had a better offense, had a better defense, should win that series? Would it have been disrespectful to LeBron to say the Raptors, when they had a better record, a better offense, and a better defense, we're going to win that series?
Have the MVP.
Exactly. That's the dumbest point, because who did the Hawks have? Who did the Raptors have? Like, so that's absurd. Now you're disrespecting Lamar Jackson. Now you're disrespecting the two-time MVP and someone who Nick just the other day said that Lamar Jackson is what I think a top 15 quarterback of all time in the NFL history. So I think it was 15. It might have been 10 or 15. And so that's the stupidest comparison ever. I mean, it just is. Not to mention, basketball is a different sport. It's a different sport. I don't know who needs to hear this right now, okay? But a 5-on-5 sport where one player can like truly win a game, where one player can score like theoretically like 70% of your points or something, like Joel Embiid just putting up literally 70 points, like where one player can do so much, then like what are we talking about here? Because under that logic, you could have a terrible defense, a defense that is just as bad in the most historically awful defense in NFL history. But you have Patrick Mahomes on offense, so hey, he should be favored. Like that's not how it works. That's what makes basketball also unique because it's a two-way sport, right? And you're playing both offense and defense like literally at the same time within a snap of the finger. So comparing it to basketball, this is where comparing it to basketball makes no sense because LeBron James truly can influence a game on both sides of the court. Patrick Mahomes cannot.
Anything close to the MVP.
Agreed, and it's also basketball versus football. I understand that. But so it is not disrespectful to say the Ravens are going to win the game. I don't think what Gronk said is disrespectful. I think a whole hell of a lot of other things have been. I think on our network, my friends, Craig Carton call him blowout. Colin Cowherd call him blowout. Brew yesterday flirting with 2 touchdowns. That's disrespectful. I think that Greg did something rhetorically smart, but I think a little unfair, which is we're not allowed to consider history here, America.
Wait a second, though. Real fast, though. The Golden State Warriors swept LeBron James in one of the finals. And the other year they did, 4-1. So is that disrespectful, though? Or was it just that? And were people saying that, Kevin Durant or Steph Curry is better than LeBron James? I mean, sure, there were some conversations with regards to that, but for the most part, nobody was considering them to surpass LeBron James as like the true, best player in the league currently, as well as, passing him for the GOAT conversation, right? Like LeBron James is in the GOAT conversation, especially with Michael Jordan. No one's really having that conversation about Kevin Durant or Steph Curry. But yet, the Golden State Warriors were favored to win, rightfully so. And the Golden State Warriors, destroyed LeBron James, especially those 2 years. So this idea that it's like, would it have been disrespectful to say, I believe that LeBron James is going to be swept in the finals? No, because it literally happened.
Which is, if a player on this side of the bracket, we can show it to you, has been the best we've ever seen.
Exactly.
That has to come into it. But what about if we were just to discuss him against this very opponent, Baltimore? We can show Mahomes' career against Baltimore. Now, you can say they haven't had a defense as good as this, but for 5 of Lamar's 6 years there, they have had a first, second, or third ranked scoring defense. So they have had great defenses every year of Lamar's career, but 1. So that's got to play into it to a degree here.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
it's different teams, different years.
Last point on it, Brew.
Makes no sense.
People are doing something this week also that's really frustrating me, which is people who knowing all the
Ravens?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
You can do that. But people who knew all the injuries Buffalo had going into the game, knew the rest disadvantage, and then picked the Bills to win, knowing all of it, are now saying, not that good of one. Come on. Everybody knew Kansas City. I'm not saying you did that, Brew, but you're, I mean, like that seems to me to be a little rhetorically dishonest.
Thanks,
Well, I think it's a fair point, but at the same time, the defense obviously let down the Bills, but so did missed field goal, and so did multiple dropped passes. So the Chiefs literally could have lost that game. Again, the Bills lost that game more than the Chiefs won that game, and I stand by that very confidently. So I don't think the Chiefs are being disrespected. And again, to keep using the past as an indicator, what does it matter what happened 2 years ago? What does it matter? Some of those stats that he's showing, I assume, involve Tyreek Hill there. Is Tyreek Hill there? No. Okay, great. Well, it's a different team then. Okay, and that's just one of the many players. Is Bieniemy there anymore? No, he's not. That was your OC. So comparing different years just makes no sense to me. Has Lamar Jackson improved as a quarterback relative to how he was, 3 years ago? Yes, he has. He's matured as a quarterback. So I don't really get this whole idea of constantly, using the past as such a reference point. I really, really don't. Because again, under that logic, then you would just say, okay, well, Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl last year, so that means he's going to win the Super Bowl this year. And then I guess, and if we keep using that logic, well, then he's just going to win the Super Bowl 20 years, 20 times in a row, because he won it. He keeps winning it the year before, so he's obviously going to win it this year. And again, is Travis Kelce the same player that he was a few years ago? No, he's not. Is Patrick Mahomes the same player that he was a few years ago? No. You could say that he's better, or maybe you could say that he's worse. He's certainly playing worse this season than he has in the previous years. And ask yourself the question, why is that? And if you want to say, well, it has nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes, it's because they don't have Bieniemy. Okay, great, fine, great point. Well, then that means they're not as good without Bieniemy than with Bieniemy. Okay, great. If you want to say that has nothing to do with Bieniemy, it's all about the receivers. They keep dropping the ball. They're dropping the ball. Okay, great. That means they're not as good as they were years past. So either way, you have to concede that they're not the same team that they were in years past. Otherwise, why are they not the number one seed? Why is this an away game in the AFC Championship game and not a home game? You have to concede something. It's not that it's magical. It's one thing if you could just say, oh, well, the Ravens just got so lucky. They had the easiest schedule, or that they, went on this crazy win streak. But really, the Chiefs are obviously the better team, and the Ravens just got hot at the right time. And now that's why they're like, that argument is not there. It doesn't exist. So there's really no argument as to where you could claim that the Chiefs are just going to magically win this game, or that they should be favored or whatnot. Outside of Mahomes just truly being just special to the point where he just can overcome everything that gets thrown his way. And if that's the case, then we're looking at Patrick Mahomes, as long as he stays healthy, winning like 10 Super Bowls. Seriously, if he can just keep winning, if he wins this year, and despite having a less than ideal team and going up against like a team like the Ravens, outside of something crazy happening like Lamar being injured, or there's just like a very key injury that clearly, dug the Ravens in. But if he just straight up beats the Ravens fair and square, and then goes off and then wins the Super Bowl, yeah, he will go up even higher in my book. And I think Patrick Mahomes is amazing and is great and is elite. I'm not hating on Patrick Mahomes, not even for a second. But I do acknowledge the gifts that he's been given, and which have been many. Andy Reid probably being the biggest one of them all. Not to mention, of course, obviously Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill in the past, and among others. So, but if he does win under these circumstances, then yeah, I'll be even more impressed. And that's what happens. You weren't calling Tom Brady the GOAT in year 7, but by year 15, 16, 17, 18, and then when he just kept playing 19, 20, you're like, oh my God, this guy's unbelievable. How is he still playing? I think Tom Brady could have played this season, honestly. I really do. And so it's just, if you're going to be the GOAT, if you're going to be the most amazing player that the world has ever seen, well, it takes time to continue to build that resume, and you don't get any points for just saying, well, this is who this is. You have to wait for it to happen. But that's the way I look at it. But what do you all think? Do you think it's disrespectful towards Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? Do you think that we should use, what happened in 2019, 2020, 2021 as an indicator of what the Chiefs and Mahomes will do, even though there's plenty of different players? Would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. And please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. And please give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.